What'd you say?
Relax.
Yeah, I know. We're back uh, with the no name show. But last week we talked about just exploring different things in Linux in terms of where you can find Linux, what does it look like, and then too, I guess we could go into how to get into those things. But I think you see, where Linux resides in terms of in the tech industry and different things that you can get involved with. So this week we got a packed show co-host with uh uh I don't know where you want to be. Are you D Linux leaks? Are you D Linux? I don't know.
I'm just D. Just
You
call
just
me
D.
D. Just
Okay.
call me D. But that is, I do have a Twitter handle. I may try to be a ghost, but I mean that is my moniker in this
Got
these tech streets.
Got you. So again, if you want to find us, find us on womeninlinux.org. Everything went at Women in Linux. Donate. Hit us up in Slack. In Slack, we have different channels. What we talk about creating wealth. Also, don't forget I didn't even mention this. The IT Pro TV discount that you can receive if you sign up to IT Pro TV. I think it's 30% off. I think. And then also, if you are looking to set appointments up with us or me to discuss career review or whatnot, you can hit us up on Calendly for I know I had to sound it out to set up an appointment for overview of just whatever it is that you want to discuss. You can do 30 minutes or an hour or more than that if you want to. Just feeling froggy. It's on you. All right. So let's get cracking here. All right. So anything you want to add before we start, though, D?
No, I'm gonna add your screen to the stream. That's what I want to do.
All right. So yeah. So again, connect, learn, grow, shop, donate. Donate. You don't have to be with your money. It could be with your time. Shop if you want merchandise. Grow if you and also jobs too. Learn scholarship programs, videos, so forth. Connect with us on Slack and just about us. And if it's just other thing you want to link up with us for work or something of that nature. So that's how you get in touch with us. But let's start off. All right. So this week, for this show, I wanted to do like a little history on Linux. So indeed, you could drop some of these links in there, but really, we started out in the world of Unix. Um, and so there's an archive. This is from 2012 on AT&T Archives, the Unix operating system. It's 27 minutes long, but it just talks about the history of Unix and then coming into the world of Linux, right? So that's just a little history there. Digital Ocean also has a link on a brief history of Linux. And let me blow this up because the text was small on my screen. So they go into a little introduction of it, but not from really like the most important part of this. Again, they say research and development at Bell Labs laboratory with the Unix system, and that's what this refers to right here, right? And then they go into how I got started, but really Unix Linux got started in like 1991. Let's see. They talk about the Richard Stallman was still central figure for among developers who were inspired to create proprietary alternatives to Unix while working at MIT's artificial laboratory. And then they start talking about the GNU project, right? And then eventually leaving lab in 1984 so he could start the new components of free software. And this is where you find out the Free Software Foundation, FSF, right? But then Linux Torvalds came along and announced Minix, a user group of 20 on August 25th in 1991. And so this is where Linux gets its start, but you can see the evolution actually began back here with C programming Bell Laboratories, and AT&T, and just the overall view. So just check it out so you can understand the history of it, where how everything became to be, and so forth. What I don't think you all know, and I just hope you knew this. Um, do you know about Bash? Well, it was founded by Brian John Fox, a brother, out of I think he's out of Boston here, Boston, Massachusetts. He was the original author of the GNU Bash shell, which he announced as a beta in June of 1989. They just recently released a Bash updated version of Bash, like maybe a year or two ago, maybe 2 years ago. There's a new one, but Fox also built the first interactive online banking software for U.S. Wells Fargo in 1995. He created an open source election system in 2008. If you want to keep up with what Brian is doing, Mr. Brian Fox is doing, here is his Twitter handler here. He's you can find him at Brian J. Fox, technology guy. He also founded this company called Orchid.com, um, out in what does this say? Is that Santa Barbara? I'm assuming it's in Santa Barbara. But the crypto powered VPN, check it out. See what your thoughts are on that. He's been on TechCrunch and so forth. So he's been pretty busy. Here's this blog about it. Let's stay connected. He has a white paper down here that is also a podcast. That just looks like they're doing a podcast as well too. Let me go back down here to the bottom. Let's go with their partners, VPN partners here. Their VPN partners, the wallet partners that they have with them, and then exchange partners, and then just other partners in terms of just different third party partners. Um, about us. All right. So if you check out the about us, we give you their core values and so forth, and then the team. They were Dr. Stephen Waterhouse, co-founder, CEO, Jay Freeman, CTO, Brian J. Fox, co-founder, and Gustav Simonson, co-founder and advisor. And then they have community that they're taking care of, just different people in the community, and then their corporate info, headquarters in San Francisco and Europe, and SEC filing. All right, so just a little bit that you didn't know about, or what was going on with the Bash shell, right? So check out the Bash shell. Thank you, Adele. How you doing? All right, me looking okay, yeah. Look into that 20K investment, Kevin. Make sure you do that. All right, so here's another one. Just going over some like crash of history here. Here's another one on Wikipedia about the history of Linux. And there are probably plenty of YouTube things that you can look at, but just overall, like how the just the flow of how everything got started, the naming, the different. You should also look into the different licenses under open source, and then there's an open source. I think it's called the Open Source Freedom Conservancy. Let me see, open source um, freedom conservancy. I think that's what it's called. Yes, software freedom conservancy. That's what it is. So, in this software freedom conservancy, they help you. Say you create an open source project. They help you pick which license you should wrap your project around. Also, talk about things that you need, benchmarks that you need to hit, as far as like having an open source project, your IP, and also what kind of lawyer you would need around that, so you can either a get ready to set to license your product, or take your product to market, and so forth. So check them out. So all right, so there's one other guy out of this that I should recommend that I got a chance to meet. His name is Mad Dog. This is Mad Dog, and he talks about the history of Unix and the history of Linux. I met him at a
Your
conference.
picture with Mad Dog at that conference. I wish
Huh?
you had it. Your picture with Mad Dog.
Yeah, I don't know where that picture's at.
You might be
You have
on
to
there.
find it. So yeah, Mad Dog, got a chance to meet him. I started hearing about him when I first started, and people will always reference him. They will always be like, you need to check out Mad Dog and what he's doing, so forth and so on. And I was like, okay, checked him out, followed some of his content, um, and over time, as Linux has started to grow, I mean, to be honest with you, the ecosystem and the ability to learn Linux didn't really take off until I want to say 2015, 2016. There's always been a need for Linux administrators and always been a need to have that skill set, but it was never really like something people would really push and require. Um, and you could go back and look at the history of the classes. When I say classes, I mean not just Red Hat having their classes, but even CompTIA classes, and just looking at the jobs. They all required you to have some Linux stuff. It was always this mystery, but it was never like go here and study this path or study this class, get this certification. Like that really didn't. I In 2014, maybe pushing it. I want to say I want to maybe 2014, but it really wasn't like one of those things that was super big. The LPIC has been around forever. The Linux Plus as well too, but again, when I'm talking about this, I'm talking about it from a bigger perspective than those two classes. I'm talking about where you could go look at a job description and it says, "Oh, I need to have the LPIC or the L plus, or I need to have the RHCSA." They just usually say Linux. Now people have kind of slowly defined like what they're looking for, and still there's some nuances where people are not really saying that either. So just a FYI on that one. Make sure there's no comments here. Do. All right. So next up, we talked about this slightly last week, and it still kind of goes into the history of Linux, but mainframes. So Linux on IBM Z mainframe. Actually, there is a free. There may not be, but I think it still is. There's a free class on learning IBM mainframe. Let me look to see if that's still up. Free IBM mainframe uh class or training. Let's go training. Um, I think it one. Yeah. All right. So see here. Here's one right here. Free course on announcing learning COBOL. Uh, Look, let me tell you. People always talk about COBOL is dead or this, that, and another. I'm gonna add this to the page there, Leon. You can post it. But they always are looking for COBOL people because people still using it on the mainframe side. And then you can see is they're learning it with Visual Studio Code. So just a FYI there. But let me see. Yep, right here. Again, IBM has their own version of Linux, AIX. So that's a little different. But I'm new to mainframe, and then they have their login here. So again, if you're into mainframes and high performance computing, not a bad position to be in, because then you're talking on the back end. Now you're getting into research and development, possibly even financial institutions using mainframe, implementing Red Hat OpenShift platform on your power systems. So again, uh, just a little something to look at, just something to think about if you're interested in that. All right. The next thing is this is right here. This is what I have found on like high perform. I gotta find that website. where you can go and apply for scholarships for to get your master's in no your PhD in high performance computing and do research. And they're always giving out money to for minorities because it's not enough minorities going into the field. So they got a lot of PhD money laying around to help you get your PhD in high performance computing and so forth. So just a FYI on that one. So here they said scientists need HPC because they hit the tipping point, uh, and they talk about what it is. They break down, what's going on with it, InfiniBand. So you can get into that. But this is just a little quick overview right here of USGS talking about what high performance computing is and how that affects us. All right. Any questions so far? We check. Mainframe at yeah, yeah, yeah. I missed the name. What happened in the name? It's a no name show. It's called The Show.
No, she hasn't missed the naming ceremony. We're like, what are we doing? What are we gonna do? Is it gonna have a name this week, next week?
I don't know.
We are actually watching this hurricane that's coming our way, so we have definitely been. It's hurricane season in Florida, right? Hey,
Right,
tropical.
right.
Elsa,
So, go ahead. What did you say, D?
Elsa is coming.
Oh, so Lockheed Martin taps Red Hat to accelerate the F-22 Raptor upgrades. If you don't know what an F-22 looks like, Raptor, let's show you what that looks like. Let's get some images. You can see that on the side there, but this is the Lockheed Martin F-22 Raptor. Um, that's what it looks like. So if you can imagine, doing upgrades on that ship, uh, as far as the cockpit, any other essential needs and so forth. This is how Linux is being used for that. And then they talk about it undergoes an agile transformation with Red Hat Innovation Labs and deploys Red Hat OpenShift container platform to speed up the delivery of new software defined capabilities for the F-22. And then they go on a little bit more about how they did it. There's actually a video to discuss at a conference about what happened, how they did this, what was going on, and so forth. So, pretty cool information. Let me see if they got a link down here. All right, so they talked about it right here during the Open Innovation Labs engagement, a cross-functional team, cross-functional keyword, cross-functional team of 5 developers, 2 operators, and a product owner work together to develop a new application for the F-22 on OpenShift. After seeing an early impact with the initial project, within 6 months, Lockheed Martin has scaled this OpenShift development and use of agile methodologies and DevSec practices to 100-person for an F-22 development team. Right? We always talk about scalability. We always talk about being a constant learner. We always talk about cross-functional. I mention this all the time. Like, don't get stuck in your one position. Make sure you go talk to other people on other teams, sit in on their sprints and so forth and so on, so you can get an idea of how other teams move. You may like them. All right. Um, they had a press webcast. I'm sure you could probably go back and watch the replay here on that, and then they just kind of go into a little bit more about what was going on. And the see here's it was at the Red Hat Summit that was mentioned. That's why I know it's at a conference. And then they talk about this just customer success stories and so forth. So pretty cool link to check out just so you can see like what are they doing with the F-22s, uh, and how does that work. All right, so here is another one on the jets themselves, where we start talking about the F-16, how the U.S. Air Force deployed Kubernetes and Ixio on the F-16 in 45 days. You can see this was back in 2019, where we are using the hybrid cloud strategies. The U.S. military is certainly in taking a unique task on that. So, and then right here is the Nick Shalon. You can see him on LinkedIn all over. Nick Shalon and Platform One,
Shalom.
talking about the things that they want to do with the defense contracting, the party bus. And when you start looking at Platform One and all that, you recognize that terminology as you go through this. What you were saying, D?
I said Nick Shalom.
Oh, when you be talking, I can't make out what you're saying.
That's
Could you?
what how he says his name on all his videos. I am Nick Shalom.
Oh no, I'm just saying when you're talking, I just like what, huh?
Oh,
All right.
I don't know. Can you guys hear me? Is it my speaker?
Yeah, it might be maybe your I hear you, but it'd be like it's like when I'm talking, it's like just a undertone or something like that.
Ah, gotcha.
All right. All right. So right here is the DoD Enterprise Initiative for DevSecOps. This goes into what I've talked about before with Platform One. Check it out. It's the website. What's new? What are they doing? How are things moving? Who needs to? Who can use this? You can get certified as a company to and get certified on this platform and then become a reseller for the platform and then sell back to different entities in the government or different or just different government entities that you may encounter like in terms of like the state or something like that to use this platform. So again, you wonder how you get that 20K. That's another way to get your 20K a month. All right. All right. So last but not least, all right, so shells, the 8 interesting facts about the Linux operating system everyone should know. One of the things, if you scroll down to the bottom of this, that starts talking about Linux makes a big contribution to the world of banking. When we start talking about high frequency trading, we talk about the New York Stock Exchange runs on Linux. They shifted to Red Hat Linux in 2007. Tokyo Stock Exchange and the London Exchange also uses Linux. The military is a big user, yes, indeed. But they go into a little bit more here about the Department of Defense. We know submarines, nuclear submarines, missile systems, UAVs, etc., all developed and controlled by Linux. Military giants like the US also use Linux, but the Chinese, the Russian military, the UK military, and so forth. Again, international. And it was something else in here that I thought stood out. Oh, right. Was this one? No, one down. Oh, right here. So today, operating system powered supercomputers, bullet trains, Hollywood films, submarines, the New York Stock Exchange. Furthermore, staff associated with major tech companies like Google, IBM, Intel, HP, and some startups have greatly contributed to the improvements of the Linux code. And you can go look at the Linux code and see who actually contributes. Better yet, go look at the kernel and see who actually is contributing to the kernel, and you can go check that out at kernel.org. When you go here, there's probably more than likely a Git repository for that, and you can check to see who's making contributions. In terms of the kernel, and then also have a mailing list, which if you're going to do something like that, I would tell you to go check out the mailing list. Uh, Patchwork. All right. So if you click on patchwork, there's just different patches that get put up into the actual kernel itself, and they have a mailing list and so forth. So just a little overview there. Let's look at documentation. They have it set up on, I forget the name of this platform off the top of my head right now. This is a particular platform. I forget what it is right now, but it'll come back to me. They talk just really about their basically their documentation, right? On like CPU load, IO stat. They give you an example. They break it down. They even go into the code of what that looks like when you're looking at this. So a good informative site. They give examples. They give references. So it's just a little something a little deeper than what you normally get on some of the sites and so forth. But I think this is just a good reference for you to have. And they have it here, the Linux kernel users and administrator guide. And then they break down what does that mean when we're talking about a guide. Again, it's just a guide. So just something to be aware of. All right. So I talked about the New York Stock Exchange. Let's pull this up because this deals with high frequency trading and the framework around it, right? And they talk about build on Linux and take advantage of the mirrors or OS specific optimization tricks. And they just kind of go into a little bit more about it and they break down what the actual framework looks like and so forth. So this is for high frequency trading, and this is the high frequency trading framework. What does that look like? How to plan around it? And just something you may want to get into when you're looking at jobs and so forth. You can go look up HFT on Indeed or even Monster. Let's do dice this week. And let's type in I probably have to do high frequency, yeah, trading. And let's do a search here. All right, they got the one. It's easy to apply, but let's look and see what it is. Let's see what they're talking about. Development in C plus plus, C sharp, learn concepts, main integrity at all times. Look like your recent college grad because they're talking about a GPA here, right? So that's why I wonder if we could just type in HFT. Will we get the same? Will we get just one? I figured not. All right, so we got a platform engineer, automated trading, RF test, a senior Java engineer working, some work in fintech, network, Linux, quantitative strategies, SRE 200 to 300,000 at Gambit Technologies out of New York. It was just posted 9 hours ago. Their team leverages AI and machine learning, or collaborate with researchers and quants. If you weren't familiar with quants, what I was doing this morning was going over tech tech stocks that were using quants that were highly regarded. And then I went over quants before when we are talking about what does it mean and so forth. So evangelize DevSecOps and so forth. So again, that pay range is 200 to 300,000. You surely will make uh, your post. I mean your 20K a month with that. All right. So here PCAP, Wireshark, PIC designer, senior DevOps, RF test engineer, and so forth. So that's a little bit about that. All right, and let me check the comments. Do do do. All right. So next one up is we're moving on to boats.
It's exciting.
All right. So Agile for Life, selling with Linux. So here's like an open source project called OpenCPN and ZGrip you can use for navigation on your actual boats and more than likely for your drones and so forth. But they also talk about in here the NEMA 2000, the Vesper Marine 8000. Let me see. Let's click here, open that up in a tab. And then they just kind of go into a little bit more about the GPS, our navigation computer running when the batteries are okay, and then they just got an overview here of open source stuff. So let's go look at this. So here's what their Watchmate XB8000 Smart AIS transponder looks like an Enigma 2000 gateway. So they go over what this looks like in terms of the navigation to control. And as you can see, high resolution GPS, WatchMate, upgradable AIS platform, Wi-Fi on board, and they talk about how it all integrates with each other um, in the ecosystem, right? And there, there's an example of the boat. So just a little FYI on that. The next one is still a boat, but now this is digitalyacht.net. And in here they talk about Linux and again open CPN, but using digital yacht Wi-Fi products and how that integrates the wireless adapter here. They talk about that some issues with on Ubuntu. I'm not sure what OS it supports for that. Open what is it? Open CPN. So you may want to look into that if you want to do something with it. But I wanted you to have some information so you could see the overview here. We've talked about mainframes. We talked about jets. We've talked about uh, boats and even modules in the boat. We talked about cars earlier with Azure and Linux on inside the Mercedes and how they're doing their stuff. And last but not least, I didn't want to keep it all adult friendly, keep it kid friendly, but um, what does it look like to have 8 distros that kids can experiment with? So if you got some kids and you don't want to use the Red Hat Linux, here's some distributions that are much more kid friendly uh, for those that want to get your children involved into the Linux world early. What does it look like setting up a little laptop so and getting your kids acquainted with it, and even setting them up on the mailing list. And I think even off that mailing list they have little meetings and stuff with the kids and stuff like that so they can meet other kids. So pretty cool. I just wanted to throw that out there so everybody can have that. You can drop that link if you need to. And that was all the stuff that I had found. I mean, I could keep going, but let me know what you think. Oh, hold on. If you could give me a time frame, how long it would take to learn the Linux part time if you already work full time. I mean, that's really on you, right? So in the meetups, that's what we discuss. In the meetups, we meet every Wednesday and Thursday. We meet for 2 hours, sometimes three. But primarily, the 124 and the 134 class is free from under the IBM subscription, and it's I think the first 124 is 16 chapters. 17th chapter is a review chapter. So it depends on how much time you are willing to take to put into it. Everybody is different. Some people work full time. Some people work full time, have 2 jobs, and still do it. So it really depends on you. You can learn it in a month, you can learn it in 2 months, you can learn it in three, you can learn it in six, you can learn it in a year. It really kind of depends on your time. So the class is there. There's really no, I can't say what that time frame is because the way you interpret information, the way you understand information may be totally different than somebody else. So it's kind of on you at that point. Oh yeah, open mrs.org. Yeah, the Linux Journal is another one. I was gonna next week. I'm gonna discuss all the magazines uh, that are out there that I think are good, and then useful websites. I says one said, how does one fit into an electronic health and medical records data nurse informatics. So electronic health and medical records. It depends on how you're looking at that, right? If you can look at it from a security aspect, where you're doing HIPAA compliance and so forth. Informatics sounds like there's data involved with that, so that could even fall under your that could fall under AI, machine learning. That could fall under for modeling. That could also fall under the high performance computing as well too, when we're looking at large quantities of data. What the well, all uh, University of Washington always going to stick out for me, because they have such a huge. They have a large portion of their money goes toward medical. But I'm only bringing them up because I worked there, and I've seen their how they flow, how much money they really pull in for medical research and development, and also how they flow for getting schools, startups, or in the tech industry as well. So that's just a FYI on that one. Let me make sure I'm getting all the questions in here. Anything else I'm missing in here, D?
I think that was about it. All the health informatics, I posted some links, so those are my links that I posted for that question. I guess this is the last little go round for questions or comments. We're here to chat about Linux.
The other thing I wanted to mention was the where I got my start from was being a sysadmin for the computational linguistics department, or UW. I mentioned this last week, but they have a master program, and you can take this remotely. So again, I mentioned this last week when you're talking about how to use your um, when you're typing on your phone or your tablet, and it recognizes. And I don't know if you all are aware that sometimes, based upon your GPS location, you get phrases thrown at you based upon where you're at. So the way somebody may say pop, and somebody may say drink, or somebody else may say soda. I don't know if you ever really paid attention to that. You'll get recommendations on how to complete that sentence if you ever paid attention to it. Um, and so is so what's being phrases that are words and phrases that are regional get suggested to you. So just a FYI on that, but all that spawns out of computational linguistics as
They
well.
have a lot of games on Facebook where they play that, where you type in, they give you 3 words and they tell you post what your phone has auto generated for you. So
Yep.
you can try that.
Yep. So and check it out. Emily Benders, we did an interview with her. I was looking for that Ben Hall interview. I know we interviewed him. I just gotta find that particular one. Let me see if what else I needed to cover on here. All right, Mad Dog, fighter jets, the stock exchange, boats, the kids' toys, Azure. The other company that uses Linux is, if you look up BMW Linux, um, right here, that came out in 2019. BMW continues making great progress with Linux, and they go into what they talk about. We met them at a conference on that. They say the BMW GUI code was ported to Linux for preserving their legacy code base and so forth. And they just go into a little bit more about that. So those that drive those sports cars like a BMW M or something like that, M series or whatnot, interface is Linux, right? Same way with Mercedes. A lot of people are going to the automotive grade Linux as a baseline across the board and so forth. And then he started talking about Linux OS is from scratch, but based on the Yocto project. And we talked about that before, the Yocto project. I'll pull that up here. All right, so the Yocto project is an embedded Linux distribution. It creates it creates a custom one for you. They talk about the capabilities, get started, and then the documentation, and then people who are actually using the Yocto project for development. All right, so just a little FYI there. I think we got everything covered. New Windows 11 or Linux. I'm just gonna say Linux because I haven't played with Windows. I don't even have a Windows 10 in box. So yeah, no. So so it'll be an 11. And thank you, Adele. Yeah, we try to stay informed. I know there's more stuff I did want to cover, but I can't think of what that went under. Because when I was doing this research, I said, oh yeah, I need to mention that. No, yeah, I need to mention this. I'm gonna go over the magazines next week because there's so many of them to go over, and then websites that I think are good and useful just for next week is going to be the way I envision it is Slack groups, um, magazines, and websites that that have helped me along the way, that keep you informed, and then the other vision that I have the following week is um, people who I think are good mentors in the industry, and as well as people I think or resources or groups that I think you should be a part of. I think we did the first run. I think we did the conferences, but I don't remember if we did or not. I may add conferences back in there because I don't think I did the different conferences that I think you should be attending that you can attend for free and that are virtual, and the ones that have good scholarships, and the conferences that got good food and conferences that got bad food, and good swag as well. So there's again, like I say, this show is centered around Linux in everything. What I have not covered is Linux based headphones, Linux based watches. I did briefly mention a watch last week. I didn't go over the different tablets in terms of laptops and tablets. I have not gone over uh, um, the Linux based security system. There's so much more that I need to go over to show you. Like when someone asks you the question, because we get this question all the time, what is Linux? If you can't answer, if you can't show someone where Linux is at by now, then that means you never paid attention to anything that we just discussed today, last week, or any other time. Just you should be able to be like, yo, yeah, they're in the F-22s, the F-16, watches, tablets, in the car, or just anywhere. You should be able to pinpoint that. Like, and the reason why I'm doing it this way, so people can stop asking where is Linux at, and you can start physically saying like it's here or it's
It's
here,
here. Yeah.
right? Like you can talk about it, where you can actually physically show people, and they're like, oh, okay, I didn't even know that, right? And now you do, right? Last week we talked about the 32,000 satellites that got launched into outer space, and that are Linux based satellites, right? You don't think NASA is using Linux? JPL, Jabil, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, uh, is crazy. And we need to have a discussion around these companies like the Lockheed Martins, the Boeing. I think we should probably break down how they got started and how they have grown into like Lados. That's what I wanted to do. That's exactly what I wanted to do. It just came to me right there. What I wanted to do. I wanted to mention this because it's in our Slack group, and I know you all see it and you're not sure what to do with the information. But it's a reason for the information. And the reason for that information is to talk about um, um, what's going on with these government contracts, and really they're centered around Linux. Really, let me see if I can get this brought over. All right, so in here, let me scroll up here. All right, so DHS got awarded 395 million data center support contract to General Dynamics. Dynamics uses Linux. I know I used to work there, so you can't for one bit think that it's not in there. So yep, it is. All right, DARPA making smart cameras that need less bandwidth and low latency. Okay, so when you hear that, less bandwidth, low latency, IoT, small devices. So we're talking about that, like the Raspberry Pis, and setting up that ecosystem. Back to that again, and we're looking at that and being able to get those signals off of there and everything. So again, that's how to look at that. Kevin, I got to look at this particular link. Um, DIU Zscaler and McAfee. No, it was one in here that was like something like 3 or 4 billion. It was something crazy. Let me see. Oh, right here. Tech contractors urge NIH to answer the questions about the $50 billion CIO SP4 contract. $50 billion. So when I was mentioning earlier about making your $20,000 a month, okay, become a contractor. All right, right. Do your work full time. Get on with somebody on a contract on the side and do 20 hours a week for a contract, or do that as your main course or something like that, and maybe do something else on the weekends, however you want to do it. Or you may make enough money on the contract where you don't want to do anything else but that. All right, so these are just different ways I want to show you how money is flowing, where is it going, and why are you not a part of it, right? Here, Linux Foundation adds new member across the enterprise government ecosystem to support 5G Super Blueprint Open Initiative. What is the Super Blueprint Open Initiative? That's what you should be asking yourself. What does that mean? um, who's a part of it, what companies are being involved. Out of those companies that are involved, what people are involved in those companies. How can I find them on Twitter? How can I find them on LinkedIn? Where do they work at? What are they doing? What kind of jobs do they have? What are their positions? Can I reach out to them? When do they have meetings? Be a part of those meetings. Just everything you think. Remember, these people are building communities around things, and that are changing how you do work and how you do business, and in some cases laws. So they all, politics and tech, they all go hand in hand. I don't know if you all know that, but they do. uh, the mindset, how Biden executive order advances diversity and inclusion, right? What does that look like? Here's the AWS learning scholarship. Here's a Twitch apprenticeship, paying at $48 an hour. There are other apprenticeships at Yale has an apprenticeship program. I believe Harvard does as well too. Home Depot has an apprenticeship program. So I mean, I can go on, but you get the drift of where I'm coming from when we're looking at this. Uh, so hey, get in where you fit in. Uh, Let me see what else is in here that I wanted to cover on this one. There was one more that was a big one. I didn't even get a chance to talk about it. That's LinkedIn. Oh yeah, this right here was learn bash error handling by example. That's a good one. Check that link out. I think that was it because this one going is going back too far. There were some other ones, but for the gist, for the most part, you get it. You get where I'm coming from with that. Um, Check my comments over here. Thanks for coming from Erica's group. We appreciate you. Let's spread the word. Uh, Even for kids, I always recommend Lego Mindstorms. They also have in your area. They probably have a Lego Mindstorm competition and group where kids can learn how to program Legos. And guess what? Underneath that, what that is, and go into compete nationally. We have two groups here. They compete nationally. I don't know if they won or not, but check them out. D can post the links afterwards that we have. If you're talking about from this meetup, not from this meetup, from this conversation, I have a Word doc where I go through and I pull all this stuff and I put it together so I can give it to you. So it's in a Word doc. D can cut and post that. But if it's something in particular, let us know. Your thing goes off and tells us that it's 3 o'clock. We got you.
I'm not
Uh,
expecting that anytime soon.
all right. Jabil Medical. Yeah, Oak Ridge Labs. I'm not sure which one you're referring to on that one, Mario. Are you talking about that government contract, that 50 billion or something like that? Maybe that's when you posted that. I wasn't looking at the time. When you typed it. But again, Linux and everything. Um, I will next week, like I say, the magazines, the Slack groups, and how do you use? I don't think you all understand the power of Slack groups. Even I should pull up the discords as well too, because in those Slack groups are not just people that are looking for jobs. There are people that are starting a tech company and like, hey, would you want to go in and invest? Or we're getting started and we need two other people to help us get started out. Like that's how a lot of things that have come my way. I just lurk in the groups and find out what they're doing, what's going on, and go from there. I personally like the Slack groups over Clubhouse. Clubhouse is great if you're gonna get in there and talk to people and stuff like that, but I need action. I need action. So for me, yeah, kumbaya, yada yada yada, woo, 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 right? Well, I need action. I've been told I'm an impulse buyer. I just need action. That's all. I just need, and all
Why
that
do you
talking
need
ain't
so
gonna
much
do it.
action? Why do you need so much action?
Because I tell you why I need so much action. If our net worth is supposed to be 20 in 2053 is supposed to be zero, and my goal for myself is to retire with 10 million. I just don't see why
You
we
need
we
some
sitting out
action.
here talking.
You need some action.
I just don't even see why we talking, right? That's just my personal take. That's 10 million is my goal. I'd be I'd be honest. A lot of people, I met people out and about, and when we talked about it, and they're like, "You don't need that kind of money to retire." And my response is, "No, that's what you don't need to retire. That's what I want." That's just what it is. See, action, because time is not on our, no, time ain't on our side, right? Time isn't on our side. We feuding in the black community over stuff. I mean, just look at it this way. This is how you got to put things into perspective. Those people who were sitting in their condos, in their condo units in Miami, was asleep when the building collapsed. they only found 20 bodies. They're not even going back to look for the rest of them. It's just it's too many days. They know they're not gonna find them people, right? So you could be sitting in your place of peace, and your whole life is gone. Right, your whole life is gone, and we don't know how many generations of families got swept out of that, right? Because you got maybe you might have had mother and daughter and child. You might have had mother and husband and their kids and his mother or what have you. We don't know what the situation was, but here we are, and we're feuding about nothing, like nothing. And so for me, it's all about action. I don't have time. Like hey, I look at it like this: if you don't have time if you don't have time for yourself to grow your generational wealth, your wealth, then what you doing? So we don't have time. So let's get on it. Let's get everybody involved. Let's spread the word. And those that don't want to go, okay, okay, right? For all you don't need 10 people to roll with you. You only need a hot two or three, and then with them hot two or three, you can make billions. I mean, we can sit back and look at Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos. That's it.
Kevin is like, let's go find this 20K a
Let's go find this
month.
20K. Like, why we yo 20K a month? Like I showed you earlier. What was it at 14 million in 25 years? And that's not including that's not including you may dump into that fund something else. That's not including maybe a good run. We don't know. But at the 14 million was the average. And then below that was I think around about 12. And then if it was a good run and you own it, it went up to like 17 or 18 million. So I mean, that's a good run in 25 years. I mean, so you could just look at it like I just got my goal. My goal is every month I need to hit my 10, 20, 10, 15, 20,000. I need to get that in there. I need to get that in there. And if somebody ain't on board with you to do that, I don't want to tell you to tell them to kick rocks, but I do want to tell you to kick rocks. Because it's a future, that you're looking at, and that money you can have that set up in a fund, and just depending on how you create your wealth, right? Where you may have you can have somebody manage the estate, right? And that fund can be still working for you after you leave, because in that fund you could have real estate and property, right? In your estate you could have real estate that's just you may own 144 units in an apartment complex, and it's just making money in that estate, and it's somebody you put somebody in charge to manage. Now I always say when you put one person in charge, you need to put somebody in charge of that person too. So they don't take your money. That's just my rule of thumb. But yeah, all right, enough of the yapping. I think you get the gist. Let's go get this 20 a month. Um, and if it's what I don't know, it's probably like 5 or 6 of y'all on there. You just think about it. If everybody in here was making 20 a month extra, we talking about 20 a month extra, and we were putting all of that into a fund. Imagine what we could be doing with that, right? How many apartments could we buy? Group economics. Check it out. Look it up. All right. Love y'all. See you next week. Well, next week, if you're coming to the meetup, it'll be on Wednesday. We probably won't meet on Thursday. If you're coming to the um, Saturday show, it'll be at 11:30 for tech stocks and jobs, and the show with no name is coming is it will be at 2 o'clock, and I'm gonna go ahead and announce it now. We possibly are having a third show coming towards y'all. So be ready for that. This is totally different than what you think. You would never expect it from us. It's something. It was one of my shows that I've been wanting to do. It's gonna be merch centered around that show as well too. Um, and that show will be a little bit more laid back than this. All right.
I don't
Um,
think they're ready for the extra late. I mean, if people come to Wednesdays to the meetup, they know they've gotten a glimpse of the laid back us. But I'm on the fence about the going the laid back.
I'm not.
You know,
I'm not.
I know you're not.
I'm not. I'm ready for it.
It's gonna be like, what the hell?
Yep. Get your drinks ready. All right. So, all right, y'all take care. Appreciate you. Make sure to like, subscribe, share. Yep, a third show. That's right. No name, a third show. Hey man, I told you I have a lot of ideas. I have a lot of ideas, like in terms of I probably got like 7 shows that I want to do. That all different content, all different people. Like I got 2 more shows right now. There are even that we haven't even covered. Uh, I slightly talked about them, like creating investment funds. Like when you think about it, um, I'm give you this give you this as an example. How could your family create an ETF or an investment fund? Like how could your family create an ETF? What does that look like? So what does that look like? Let's break it down. Who do we need to bring in? Who do we need to talk to? Where we start signing stuff up at? I'm not here to sell you courses. I'm not here to sell you dreams. I'm here to give you content
Action.
and action. Here's the content. Here's how you put that play in action. And if I got to start doing mind maps, I will. But that's what we're here for. So I got plenty of show ideas. Plenty of show ideas. All right. That's right. We got a millionaire mindset. We need to do that. Oh yeah, the Will Happy Hour. Is it today, D Block?
No, it's in July. We have it. We've been having it every quarter, so it is
It
on
is
the
July. This
17th.
July. Oh,
Oh,
July
it is
17th.
July. See, July and crept up. It's on the 17th at 6 p.m. It's BYOB. If anybody has come before, we get the music going. We got the tunes. We have our cocktails, and um, we just talk about stuff. And we're gonna celebrate our 5 year anniversary for women in Linux. So like they say all the time, you can drop a donation. We are a nonprofit, so go ahead and appreciate us via cash or, as Tam says, or your time.
Yep.
You can go to womeninlinux.org to do that. We appreciate all of you guys. And I'm excited about the third show too. It's something that we've been talking about for a long time.
Can we give them the name? I know they.
No names, no case, no face, no names. They gotta tune in. They gotta come back.
All right.
I think women in Linux give so much. We need to just keep something to keep them coming back.
I guess.
I
All
know,
right.
I know, much.
All
Yeah.
right, let me see. Let me know how you can help. Hey Naomi, I saw your comment last week. I tried to comment on it. I should be commenting on the women lens. I comment on the mine because I see it. I check out all our videos. I go back to see, what my profile look like. Make sure one no bad views of this face on there. But yeah, there's plenty of ways to help out. Let me give you this idea that I thought about. This is I don't care who runs with this, whatever. Uh, what I wanted to do was um, black contributions in Linux in the realm of Linux. So uh, highlighting like an online magazine of contributions that we've done to the ecosystem itself. One of the things I had started doing a long time ago, when I said a long time ago, about 5 years ago, and it's cultivating black tech books, black tech authors, right? I know about 15 of them, right? When it comes to curating content around that. So that was one of the things. So like I said, I got content that can go on like what what authors, Vladimir Vivian is an author. Kelsey Hightower is another one. Um, Brian Lyles is another one. And I can go on down the list, but when I go, my thing was when I was studying is how come none of the authors look like me, and why are we not authoring tech books, right? Why are we not? Where does that look like? Not to say they're gonna give you a whole lot of money, but I want to pick up a Wiley book and say that was, by this brother, this sister, or this group of brothers, or this group of sisters, or this group of people that I recognize in the industry that I could call out to and like, hey, in this chapter you were talking about this. I want to do a little deeper dive on that and be able to talk about it. So that's little things like that. Um, when it comes down to uh, our daily things that we use, there's nothing, and people do this all the time, right? I don't know if you saw the guy on Earn Your Leisure. They go online, they find a set of headphones that don't have no brand on it. They take it, they put their brand name on it. They make $100,000 a month on doing that, right? Great, awesome. But what if we were the manufacturer of the headphones and we use Linux as the baseline to manufacture those headphones? So now we become the distributor for people to wrap their name around the product. That could go and be, you could wrap your name in India, you could wrap your name over here. Just looking at things from a different perspective. That's all. When I think of that, Kevin, when I think of that 20K a month, that's how I think of that 20K a month. That right there, I just gave you 20. I just probably gave you about 50,000, 100,000 a month right there. So that's the mindset that I'm in. All right. Yeah, mobile home parks. I mean, we can go on mobile home parks, cold storage, warehouses, agriculture, drones, agricultural drones for what's gonna be big. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna be big. This is something I saw earlier in St. Pete and Tampa. There isn't a, and it's probably in Miami too, probably in Florida. Period. There's no code to do inspection on these buildings. So what's gonna happen is how you gonna inspect a building that's 40 stories with drones? You're gonna have to use drones in order to inspect those buildings, right? So this is where that your drone pilot license come into play. This is where you start cultivating that aspect of it. Now you're doing drone inspections for construction sites and so forth before they finish off, or while they building. What's going on. That kind of stuff. So just putting it out there, letting you know what I'm thinking. I got plenty of ideas. Um, 7 figures. Yep, let's go. Actually, we should be talking about eight. So we should be talking about eight. We already talked about seven. We need to be talking about eight. All right. I'll catch y'all next week. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed. Remember, 20,000 a month is the goal for right now. That's right now. All right.
You guys have a good one. Thanks for joining us.